Hello and welcome to whatever we decide to call this. This is a professional wrestling podcast here on Newport City Radio, the first of its kind here on Newport City Radio. There's no better time to start a podcast than now. We sit here, record Monday after WrestleMania 40. It was dubbed the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and coming out of WrestleMania 40, it certainly feels that way. Joining me, Luke, in the studio is Curtis, who will be with me every step of the way on this podcast.
Definitely.
And we also have Adam Smith. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
So, as I said, biggest WrestleMania of all time. There's no better time to start talking all things professional wrestling than now. Going into this, 40 years of WrestleMania, as I said, dubbed the biggest one of all time. Going into this, Curtis, we always see WrestleManias hyped up, and so they should. I remember WrestleMania 38 being dubbed the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time and things like that. Is there a sense for you of they hype it up so much that sometimes WrestleMania doesn't deliver on your expectations because they hype it up so much?
I feel like this WrestleMania, especially on night one, that they hyped it up so much, and I was kind of disappointed, especially with the Usos match. If we're talking about the matches, the Usos, how much that they've been waiting to have their match, and obviously if you counter in the Bloodline story as well, that they only had a 12-minute match and they spent the rest on entrances. I just feel like they could have split the entrances up, have lessened the entrances times, and had split it more. The Usos, obviously, that was their dream match to have against each other at WrestleMania. For them to only have 12 minutes is ridiculous.
It seems like every 15 years at WrestleMania, we get a brother versus brother match. I think it was WrestleMania 15? Or WrestleMania 10, I believe it was, where we had Owen Hart against Bret Hart. WrestleMania 25, where we had Matt versus Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
And now WrestleMania 40, we have Jimmy versus Jay. WrestleMania started off this year with a kickoff show, as it always does. It wasn't called a kickoff show.
It was
this
countdown.
It was countdown to WrestleMania. Now, a welcome thing this year for us in the UK. WrestleMania and all WWE shows normally start at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
This year they brought it forward by an hour. Started at midnight. The countdown to WrestleMania kicked off
At 11.
10 a.m. 10 a.m., 10 p.m. UK time.
It was 10 p.m. It's 2 hours. Yeah.
2 hours. On that panel, you had Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, who is always a welcome return to WWE. I think he brings so much energy and so much life to...
I know Adam's going to disagree with that.
Yeah. Thoughts on Pat McAfee then, Adam?
I think he's a bottle of pop that's just been let loose.
Okay.
And he's too hyper when you need to be a bit serious, if that makes sense. When you got a serious match, it's like, don't get me wrong, I've seen him get on the announce desk with you when the USO come out.
Yeah, with Jay.
But I just don't know what it is. I'm of the era of like JR and the King.
The King, Jerry Lawler, yeah.
And so I'm used to that sort of presenting, and then to see him come out and just like be like a bottle of pop is like, calm down a little, the attention isn't on you, and I feel that it's drawing away from the wrestlers.
Okay. He is, on the contrary, he is probably one of the most recognisable sports people in America.
Yeah.
And his show has got a multi-million-pound deal with the biggest sports network in America, ESPN. He is one of the most recognisable faces in sports in America, but do you not think that his energy brings so much more? We were saying about off-air about Samantha Irvin, the ring announcer. Come on to here when we talk about matches. Do you think that kind of brings more to the table when you've got such an energetic announcer as Pat McAfee?
If like Michael Cole and Corey Graves had that similar energy, I think it would be a match made in heaven. But like this past weekend, it was Pat McAfee at 1,000%, and the others were the other pair was at 100%, and it just didn't match. It didn't mix like, I think he was too hyperactive. He was like a child the night before Christmas. And I understand why, especially after my reactions last night. But I think he could have brought it down a level or two, and then I think it would have gelled very well, because I don't think Corey Graves shone much last night through his commentary.
Okay.
He was quite Corey Graves was quite low. He wasn't really much involved. It was mainly, especially with Michael Cole, come out a lot more, especially in the Roman Cody match on night 2. I think everyone was, to be honest. That match was something else. But yeah, I think the commentary, that the three of them as a pair, as a trio, they're really good, but just the energy levels that they each give off, like Adam was saying, it's a lot different. And I feel like if they were all on a similar level, when they knew when to be hyper, when they knew not to be hyper, and they knew when to be serious, it would be really good. And I do quite like Pat McAfee with what he brings to the WWE and stuff, but there is sometimes where he is a little bit jarring in what he does on commentary and stuff.
But in saying that, I've been like a bit critical of him. I did like it as commentary where it was like sod the PG era. The language was coming out on it, and he just spoke his mind. And I was like, so it's like, yeah, one part of me is critical of him, and another part of me is like, go on, son, you say it as it is.
Yeah, WWE, as we know, Raw is going to Netflix, and I'm not sure in the UK about the rights. I know Raw is going to Netflix in the UK. I don't know whether SmackDown is. I know NXT has gone off TNT Sports onto the network, and it's network exclusive over here in the UK. But as you say, the PG era seems to be over. You know, we've had The Rock, we've had The Rock swear, we had him drop F-bombs, we've seen blood for the first time. Purposefully, Cody Rhodes bled. We haven't seen blood in WWE probably since the 90s. Do you think that this is all a sign of potentially what's to come, a more, I don't want to use the word adult style of professional wrestling, but do you think this could be a view to a more serious...
I think the word we're looking for, but I think maybe afraid to use, is could we see the rebirth of Attitude?
That era, the Attitude Era, that phrase has been branded around a lot, especially
the past few days.
The
past few weeks with The Rock coming into the Bloodline story, and I think, if I'm correctly here, Roman said to Cody, was it Roman who said to Cody, "This is my company"?
Yeah.
If I quote that.
Yeah.
But I feel like the PG era is done.
Yeah.
And with The Rock coming in, how he was with our ref, I pay your wages, you count, you're fired, or something along them lines, is like, we know Dwayne The Rock Johnson is part of the
TKO board.
Yeah, I think that's them playing into that during this storyline has been one of the... Because we've seen in the past authority figures, we've seen Triple H, we've seen Stephanie, we've seen... people like that. I think Seth Rollins, when he joined the Authority back in 2014, when he turned on the Shield, we'll come on to that after. But I think, Roman was the face of WWE. But I think the word special attraction, now in this era, whether we talk about some of the best professional wrestlers in the world, we talk about Will Ospreay, we talk about Seth Rollins, we see them wrestle week in, week out. I think they said Roman Reigns has only defended the title 31 times.
Yeah, and 31 times he's defended the title.
When he wrestles...
He's cheated.
Of course.
Solo being heavily involved and the Usos.
When he wrestles, we don't see much of a special attraction nowadays. Someone that you see on the card you don't see often. Someone that will draw you money. Someone that people actually go and pay to see. A star. We haven't seen a star like that probably since The Rock back in the 90s. Stone Cold, that kind of
And I know
era.
we'll no doubt talk about it a bit later, but we've seen a whirlwind of stars that turned up last night, and that to me is what got the hype and the emotion. Is like my prediction of the last match was I thought The Rock was going to turn on the Bloodline.
Yes.
And I've been on about it for weeks, posted on socials. How wrong was I?
Moving back onto topic. Also on the countdown to WrestleMania panel for the full 2 hours, CM Punk, probably my favourite professional wrestler, the Second City Saint himself, was on there. He said himself that he might be injured, but his mouth still works.
Definitely.
Now, I want to pick up on that. How injured was he? I said to Curtis while we were watching it last night, I think it's a spin because when he took his brace off his arm, he was swinging it around. He even used it to hit.
Yeah.
So, was there a ploy and a fake?
If you noticed, Drew never attacked Punk. Punk attacked Drew, so he could still be injured, and I think he is, because I think a tricep injury is about 4 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. So we could see Punk come out now on Monday Night Raw tonight and say he's cleared. You could be right. And also, when Punk attacked Drew, he used his left hand, which is his non-injured hand, to attack Drew.
Right. Yes.
So he used his working hand to attack Drew McIntyre. But this role for Punk on the kickoff and commentary, going back to the pipe bomb, he said he's the best in the ring, on the microphone, even on commentary. And I think even if it was for one match, and it was a really, really good match at that, I thought he brought so much to the table. Insight, knowledge, experience. Mm-hmm. You could tell that he is one of the best in the world.
Yeah, he killed it. And the element of they adding into Punk getting involved after Drew climbing onto the table, which was very strange, may I add, was very interesting. But then Punk attacking him, and then obviously then Damien coming out and cashing in his Money in the Bank full.
We'll come on to that probably when you talk about night 2. Also on the countdown panel was someone who is probably never going to wrestle again. I hope he does.
Yes.
That man is Big E. Now, we've seen him, he was on when they had the kickoff press conference in Las Vegas the week of the Super Bowl. We've seen him now. We've seen him do other bits and bobs.
I think...
Is this potentially the role for him going forward in terms of being a talking head for WWE?
That's what my thought is. If he can no longer wrestle, and I want to say we can never say never.
No, we've seen the likes of Edge come back. We've seen
Randy
Orton, Daniel Bryan,
Stone Cold. They've all come back from neck injuries. So never say never. But I think if he's going to pick up a role as like a WWE ambassador, couldn't think of anyone better.
No.
He's engaging with the audience. The audience love him. And he's got an amazing story from being nearly paralysed to now being out there, being able to do something in the industry and the business that he loves so much.
And in terms of diversity as well, we've seen him and the New Day kind of break down those barriers in wrestling for black wrestlers. You know, Kofi won the WWE title, Big E won the WWE title. So I think, as you say, there is no one better to be that community ambassador. We've seen Titus O'Neil do it, and I think Big E would be a welcome addition to that as well. Moving on to the actual WrestleMania itself, we kicked off with Triple H coming down, the Chief Content Officer of WWE, to say welcome to WrestleMania, kicking off the two-night extravaganza with the main man himself. Was it nice to see Triple H?
Yes.
It was. It was nice to see him come out in as what they call this new era.
Yeah,
and
that was emphasised a lot during this weekend, as we kind of alluded to earlier.
Yeah, the new era of WWE. It was nice to see Triple H come out. He kicked it off brilliantly with the energy. The way he said "Welcome to WrestleMania," you could tell he was looking forward to it, and it was really nice to see him come out, and especially with his entrance as well.
Yes,
him coming out, it was nice.
For me, it was inevitable. He was going to be there, though. Part of me was expecting him to come out with HBK as part of DX.
Okay.
but I'm glad they never, is him coming out, his time, is just... I'm getting emotional. Because
we haven't even started to talk about the card yet.
Is Triple H, I remember him when he first started as Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Is that in the WCW days?
Yeah. So we're showcasing my age here, okay? And to see him going from just a young wrestler, a no one, to being the boss of WWE. He's worked his butt off so hard. He's got the audience behind him, the team behind him, the wrestler, the crowd, everything. I literally am so excited. This past weekend got my spark right back into wrestling.
And I think that has for a lot of people. I know people who, obviously, during the latter days of the Vince McMahon era, when pro wrestling became almost a joke, we've seen the likes of, we'll talk about him later, Roman Reigns, where he got dog food chucked over him by Baron Corbin and things like that, and just Vince McMahon's outdated views on wrestling.
Is they say it's a new era, and
it's the first McMahon-less WrestleMania.
I cannot wait, and I'm gonna chuck it out there, and I do not care if I'm wrong, but I think my gut is right. I think we're gonna see the rebirth of the Attitude Era 2.0.
Okay, with Cody Rhodes being
Cody
face
Rhodes
of that,
and with Hunter or Triple H, Paul Levesque, rather now we should be calling him. With him having the reins, oh my days, it's gonna be epic.
It is. But the first match of WrestleMania 40, the first thing that we seen on the premium live event was Rhea Ripley, the Women's World Champion, going up against Becky Lynch. And there was a special entrance, obviously, for Rhea Ripley, who had Motionless in White play her to the ring. Yeah. I don't know your thoughts, but I was a little bit freaked out when they came on stage and they were in their face paint. And
I felt like, I don't want to say bottled the entrance, but
I know where you're coming from.
He didn't...
They want that energy.
There wasn't that energy, and he didn't... I don't think he said most of the most of the song. He did little bits of it, and the only time he did it was when he was interacting with Rhea. I felt like, obviously, Rhea wanted it last year at WrestleMania 39.
Yes, but there was
they were
issues. They were touring.
Yeah, they were busy and stuff. So to have it at WrestleMania 40, going into that match, and how big Rhea is at the minute, especially with the Judgment Day and stuff. I feel like it should have been bigger, but it was a little bit creepy with the way they led the camera up onto the stage with Motionless being there and stuff. But
I'll agree with that. It was creepy, but for me, I would have loved to have had Rhea with a mic singing along with it, because I think that would have you've
seen her as she was walking to the ring kind of singing along, didn't you? I think she has done that in the past.
Is the crowd got hyped up behind it anyway, but I think if Rhea had even just sang 15 seconds of that song, the crowd would have it would have erupted even more. And so that they could have improved with it, but they could have done it a lot worse.
Yeah. But fair play to both of them. Came out that Rhea Ripley had a panic attack before she came out. And I think Becky Lynch had
she's been ill for over a week.
She had a fever and her
105 degree fever and a sore throat. And
so, bringing in health issues, their mental health, especially on that grand stage.
As I just said, Rhea Ripley had a panic attack before going out. Even these larger-than-life characters, Rhea Ripley seems to be this dominant champion and nothing gets in her way, but still.
Mental health doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't.
And that is the message I got to give out here, is And just a sidetrack, if you do suffer with mental health, do reach out.
Yeah, that's paramount. That's paramount. Going back onto the match, Becky Lynch, as we know, New York Times best-selling author, her book.
I can't wait. I
come
need
out.
to get it. I literally want to get that before I go on holiday, because that's going to be my read while I'm on holiday.
She kind of came out through the book. The book wasn't there in person, but it was kind of like a 3D projected
animation type.
We've seen them do that for people's entrances. I know there's the Roman Reigns one where he's doing the ones to the sky. You've got Drew McIntyre. You've got the Kevin Owens one where the record ball is sitting the wall and things like that. But to see that was...
They did that very well.
Yeah.
I did quite like that.
His photography around it all was amazing. And if I read right, they were doing like 8XD on the stage as well, which made them, when the cameras zoomed in and they were announcing the contender and then the champion, you can see a bit of the background all blurred out, and it was all that, to me, if that stays, that's epic. Because
the camera work recently in WWE, I know recently Kevin Dunn left and they've got this new guy who used to be with ESPN, I believe. The camera quality and just some of the shots and some of the things that they're trying in terms of production, it's gone from 0 to 100 overnight, it seems to me.
And it can only get better.
Yeah. I think Triple H alluded to that last night in the Wrestlemania Sunday press conference, in terms of they've got so much more that they're kind of integrating over time and things like that. So for me to see where they are now and where they could go is just special, because for a while we've seen Kevin Dunn. But yeah, in terms of the first match of the night to set the tone for the night, was there a better match in your opinion than Marmy Rhea Ripley against the Man?
For me, the better match of the night was...
In terms of one to open the show and set the precedent.
I reckon to open the show, they should have had the Usos.
Yeah. I was thinking that it would have been the Usos to open night 1, and then either Seth and Drew open night 2, or one of the women's matches. But I feel like Rhea and Becky's match would have been a lot different. But I feel like they did a few last minute changes throughout the week due to Becky being ill with her fever and stuff. I don't think they would have been able to do as much as they wanted to do. But I mean, it was an alright match to open it, but I feel like, as Adam said, the Usos match to open night 1 would have been very good.
And Rhea retained when about just over 17 minutes. Where do you think Rhea kind of goes from here? Because the obvious match, I think, for WrestleMania 41, wherever it might be, the location hasn't been announced. The front runner is Minneapolis.
Yes.
Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair seems to be...
I don't know.
Okay, what do you think?
I think it's going to be Rhea v Jade Cargill.
Okay.
I was thinking that as well.
I got a gut feeling they're going to push her big time. And then I think that's going to be the one title. And
we fancy booking WrestleMania 41 here?
Yeah, why not? Let's make our predictions 12 months ahead. And I think that would be an amazing one. Though, I'm not... it wouldn't surprise me if it could be a triple threat.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Jade, Rhea,
Bianca.
And Bianca. That, I think, will be through the roof.
I do think with how Bianca is and the character that she's got, and obviously Jade Cargill coming into the WWE from AEW, I do feel like that they could be looking towards also as well Bianca versus Jade Cargill somewhere down the line.
Yeah, that always seemed to be the dream match, even when they were separated by promotions.
I'm just checking out there. My gut is that match is SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
Cleveland, of course.
It's like they got to get a good SummerSlam, and under the new era of Paul Levesque, and I'm just going to keep saying that because like it's amazing. I reckon he is listening to the fans. He is watching what's going on socials.
We've seen that with the We Want Cody movement. Obviously, Cody gave up his main event against Roman Reigns to The Rock, and then there was huge backlash. I think that video of where Cody introduced The Rock was the most disliked video in WWE history. We Want Cody was trending #1, definitely in America, might have been worldwide for days on end.
And last night trending, and Let's End the Story was trending last night, and we're in the UK. I got UK trends, and that was #1 at one point. To the point I even tweeted WWE because they were putting up the #1 trends on Twitter for America, and it was like, oi, don't forget the UK, we're trending over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always do that trend. I think Monday Night Raw, they always say trending #1.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do worldwide, sometimes they do USA.
I feel like tonight, Raw After Mania is going to be worldwide.
Yeah.
I feel like going out of, especially night 2, which we'll discuss later.
I may have to ring and change my shifts in work so I can watch Raw tonight. I need to watch it tonight.
Monday Night Raw, 1 o'clock in the morning, TNT Sports as usual. Moving on to match 2 of the night, and probably for me the match that was
one of the best for night 1.
Yeah, the most unpredictable for me in terms of who would win and what would actually happen. I'm obviously referring to the 6-pack tag team ladder match for the, at the time, undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. We had A-Town Down, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller against Awesome Truth, Miz and R-Truth. The Judgment Day consisted of Finn Balor and Damian Priest, DIY Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and the New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. It's nice to have Pete Dunne back. Obviously, he was Butch for a while under the Vince McMahon era when he got called up, and part of the Triple H era as well. But I think Tyler Bate obviously back in NXT UK and probably on the UK indie scene, they were part of British Strong Style. And I think just to see them reunite on the main roster in front of millions worldwide is just really nice to see in terms of iconic, or potentially iconic British professional wrestlers.
Is, for me, all the way leading up to it, we're going to see a surprise come in.
I.e. Hardy's back in
or the
35.
The Dudley Boys.
Yes.
So, nothing against WWE. I think the match was incredible. I think my own self was wishing, hoping and hyping that match to see others come out, like the TLC table ladders chairs.
Yeah.
That's in my head. So, for me, I was a bit disappointed, but that's at no fault to the match. That's at fault to myself because I expected
Who would
more.
you have liked to see? I have a name in my head, but we'll see who you wanted to surprise us with first.
I wanted both Edge and Christian.
Even though they're contracted under AEW.
We've seen it before now, other companies, and they shake.
But it's AEW, and I'm sure we'll come on to it a little bit later. They've said that they're airing the backstage footage from All In Wembley when CM Punk had an altercation with Jack Perry, which Punk spoke openly about with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour. Phenomenal interview, I thought, by Ariel.
I think it was just like a dream wish that I think realistically would not have happened. But unless we have dreams, unless we have goals.
That's true.
And that was my dream, that I would have seen Edge and Christian, even though they got rivalry on AEW.
Well, it's over, we believe.
Oh,
but potentially
it could. I just think that would have been, and the crowd would have gone ballistic if their music had played and they came out and just interfered a little bit.
Yeah.
Curtis, were you hoping for any surprises in that ladder match, i.e. WrestleMania 35? I believe it was 35, I could be wrong.
I would have loved to have said the Hardy Boys.
Okay. You say that, it came out last night, Sean Rossap of Fightful Select reported that Matt Hardy's contract with All Elite Wrestling is up. He's in Philadelphia, obviously it's not just WrestleMania. WrestleMania brings with it indie promotions having large shows. It has Ring of Honor having their largest pay-per-view of the year. It has GCW there, which we've seen WWE participating this year. We see wrestling conventions. One of those wrestling conventions, WrestleCon, we had the Hardy Boys there. So Matt is in Philadelphia, or he was as of last night.
So I just think they could have played on that and made... My wish was they could have made that a little bit better by bringing
someone
like the phenomenal tag teams. It's like we look, the Dudley Boys. They in
Philadelphia.
They were all there. They were at both of them. Devon and Bubba were both at the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
So
Paul Heyman give Bully Ray is his indie name a hug when he came out to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
And so I think, they could have built that a little bit better. Again, this is personal.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from because they've kind of been split by brands. Obviously, we see A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and the New Catch Republic coming from SmackDown. Was the other 4 tag teams, Awesome Truth, Judgment Day, DIY, and the New Day coming from Monday Night Raw. So I know where you're coming from in terms of that build. For me, I said just then that I was hoping for a surprise. That surprise would come in the form of the Motor City Machine Guns, who one of the legendary tag teams probably of the last 10 years in TNA, Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
Their contract is up. I'm not sure whether they're going to go to AEW. That seems to be one of the rumours, but I was hoping that they would come out and be a surprise 7th person in that tag team match. But obviously, it's Raw after WrestleMania tonight.
Anything
could happen.
Full of surprises, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think Raw tonight we could see 1 or 2 A-list movie stars.
Who would that be?
I got a sneaky feeling The Rock is going to be there tonight. And I think, because even though we're going to go on Sunday night a bit later, I think Cena is going to show up as well.
Well, he is there. He is at WWE World on the Pat McAfee show. Going back to Pat, who we spoke about earlier, he is having an interview on there, so he is going to be around.
Could that
WWE World
be a rebirth towards the Attitude Era? I'm going to see
you're adamant on this Attitude Era, aren't you?
I'm like, my gut is telling me we're going to have Attitude 2.0, and if I'm right, sorry Paul, but I'm reserving all rights. I want some sort of commission from anything that you get.
Well, with all your social media posts exposing it all, with all your predictions.
Well, you haven't tweeted me back yet, and I tweeted him quite a bit last night and Saturday.
Curtis, obviously, going into it, as I said, the Judgment Day were the undisputed tag team champions. That has been the case. The tag team bouts have been undisputed for about 18 months now.
Yeah, since
ever since it was Randy Orton's last match before he went off injured, where him and Matt Riddle lost them to the Usos. So when they became the undisputed tag team champions, there was a talk for the longest time, ever since Triple H came into WWE, or came into his role as head of creative, chief content officer, saying that we want the tag team titles to be split. There's enough good tag teams, and we've seen on the cards on WrestleMania that there's enough good tag teams to have the titles split. Were you relieved when you seen the titles? When you seen, firstly, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller take the tag team titles, and then the Awesome Truth take the tag team titles?
I was definitely glad that they've split the tag titles up.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they seemingly going to ununify all the titles now, and they're going to have an individual title for Raw and SmackDown. I did predict, my predictions for that match was DIY to win 1 set and A-Town Down Under to win a set. So I got one right.
50% of the way there.
Yeah, I got one right. I'm kind of glad to see the Awesome Truth, which consists of The Miz and R-Truth, win. I think that's going to be a very entertaining storyline.
Yeah, especially with R-Truth.
53 is R-Truth.
And do you know what? He may be 53, but he got the athleticism. Oh, I can't even talk. Sorry, I'm still tired. I've had very little sleep. Of a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Is like, and how he is like he was in there and he was like, his character is nothing but lovable. It's like look of Elimination Chamber in Australia. He posted, "I've just arrived in Austria."
Yeah,
and his gimmick, his character, especially with the Miz, it's the rebirth of Awesome Truth.
Yeah.
I forgot now who I said, like, who was going to win.
You said DIY to win.
Yeah, DIY.
I knew they were going to split them up. You wasn't so sure on them.
I think Michael Cole emphasised the fact that it would continue after the first tag team titles were
Yeah, they announced it. I seen it on...
What won me when I thought, right, yeah, the titles being split, is when they were both in two separate... and I thought, they're all going to be together. If they're all together, then it's the first one who grabs it. But when I seen them hung up separately, it was like, yes, we're going to have a split.
Yeah.
And so...
I seen on social media a few days before Wrestlemania that I think they announced it on... I don't know, I think Michael Cole might have announced it on Raw or something, or on SmackDown. Sorry, they announced it on something because I seen it on social media that the match would continue after one set have been retrieved, and I just knew that they were gonna split it, especially with Damian Priest and Finn Balor going into that as champion. Yeah. Also with Damian having the Money in the Bank as well.
Is my only disappointment in that match. And I, as soon as, because me and Curtis watching it Saturday, and I clocked the ref grab hold of...
Jessica Carr grabbing hold of Damien.
Ankle, and that stopped him, only for about 5 seconds, climbing up the ladder.
Yeah.
And that was the minute, in my eyes, that they were told by those powers that be in the Triple H era, don't take the belts.
I seen something on social media, I believe it was this morning, that apparently Jessica Carr said to Damien, move the ladder.
Yes, because as you might have seen, the ladder, one of the many ladders that was used in that match, was broken right at the very bottom. It kind of, I don't know whether it took a bump and kind of broke under the pressure or whatever, but one of the ladders, I think towards the bottom, the metal kind of bent a little bit, and as the wrestlers was climbing it, you could kind of see that it was unsteady and unstable.
It was going to buckle.
It could be a number of things, but that was a distraction. And would Priest and Balor still have at least one set of the titles?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think,
especially after what we've seen on night 2.
I think what we've seen on night 2, I feel like we kind of predicted what was going to happen with that match. But going back to the tag match, it's a 50-50, especially when referees get involved, whether it be the ladder being broken and the referee saying, listen, you need to get a new ladder just for safety precautions. Or was it the element of they decided there and then that they wasn't gonna, maybe was the original plan for Damien and Finn to retain one set, and then did they decide then to change their mind? This is the thing with WWE.
You never know.
You never know what could happen unless you have that script right in front of you. But
and then I'll always, even though it is scripted, it is entertainment.
Yeah.
Just like any form of entertainment, whether it's a soap on ITV, Emmerdale, or whatever, things change and they allow the artists and the wrestlers to go with their gut on the majority of it. But it's also then listening to the crowd.
Yeah.
And the crowd erupted when Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah. I think that's been the story for so long with R-Truth thinking he's in the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And then the Judgment Day week after week constantly beating him down, beating the Miz down. And then for them to go on to actually beat the Judgment Day and take the Raw Tag Team titles.
My only question to you both, just thinking out loud, regarding R-Truth, do you think now he's still going to feel that he's part of Judgment Day? Or do you think he's going to be...
I think no. I don't think so.
This is...
You never know with Truth, though.
The thing is, though, you don't know with R-Truth because he always thinks it's a tag match. It's like an actual tag match, but it's a ladder match and anyone can be involved. This is the thing with R-Truth.
How is his character going to be for the next couple of weeks? It's going to be fun.
It's going to be interesting. I don't see them holding it that long.
No.
But I feel like they're going to make it a very funny few short reign is what I'm going to get from.
I personally feel that they gave them a title, especially R-Truth, a title at WrestleMania because he's been there he's been doing it for decades. Is he at his peak, at his prime? Could it be past it? Who knows? But I think it was WWE's way of saying thank you for your time and your commitment to the sport and for the fans.
Especially with this new era going on with the Triple H era, I think Triple H wanted to give back to the wrestlers, especially someone like R-Truth. Especially someone R-Truth who's been in the company for so long.
Yeah. I think the one thing overall for me in the Triple H era is I don't know the word jobber in wrestling. It's branded around to different people. But with a 24/7 title under Vince, I think R-Truth was portrayed as
a joke.
Yeah, as a joke, as a jobber. But under Triple H, even someone like Akira Tozawa, who, again, under Vince, Tozawa kept going for the 24/7 title as part of that scene as the comedy wrestlers. He's now in Alpha Academy and is a bit more of a serious wrestler compared to...
I think now with Paul being in charge, I can't see there being any joke gimmick type wrestlers unless it's based around a very good storyline.
We've seen comedy, I've just said Alpha Academy, they are, compared to under the Vince era, it is a lot more serious and a lot more adult-y professional wrestling.
Is Paul... in my opinion, I think the difference between Paul Levesque and Vince McMahon was silver-spooned. He was born into that company.
Yeah, he inherited it off his dad, and
Triple H worked from
the ground up. Yeah,
he gets it. He respects the wrestlers. He respects the industry.
He has been a wrestler. He's been in that locker room. He knows what the locker room wants and what the locker room needs. And I think CM Punk said himself that that's probably the best locker room he's ever been in. For someone, 20-year veteran, to say that.
And this is why I am super excited to see now what going to become of the Paul Levesque era.
Like if you look back on if you go back on like the whole WrestleMania, both night 1 and night 2, if you think that was the very first 2 days as well, the very first main pay-per-view event,
premium live event,
sorry, if you think that of what we just seen, what else is going to come? Like what else is going to come, especially tonight with Raw after Mania? What's going to happen on SmackDown now? What's going to happen with everything in WWE?
It is like when they as was announced past weekend, the King and Queen of the Ring. We were talking about this, ourselves.
Yeah,
that needs to come back. My words were, there would be no better place to do it than in the UK, because at the time it was King of the Ring. We now got a king of Great Britain.
Yeah.
It would have been perfect sense. And then from to be announced, I was like, they're going to announce it, the UK.
and
You even thought that after when they announced Clash at the Castle for the Ovo Hydro Arena in Scotland? 2 UK pay-per-views in the space of a year?
Yes. I genuinely feel...
I think with the energy that they got, especially from the reception of Money in the Bank, which was in the O2 London, and going back the year before in September for Clash of the Castle, which was in the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, to have 64,000 WWE fans just from the UK. And when I was there, I was in going to Clash of the Castle quickly. There were so many fans around the world that have come to Cardiff alone. I was speaking to someone from Canada, Italy. There were so many different people.
And it's like getting flights from Europe to the UK is one hell of a lot quicker and a hell of a lot cheaper than getting flights from Europe to America.
Yeah.
So, and we have the stadium infrastructures within the UK. It's like the attendance, 72,000, just over 72,000.
Are you going to get that tattooed somewhere like Will Ospreay did for All In?
Maybe, who knows? We could match that at Wembley and beat it.
I genuinely think...
Well, AEW did. Going on to the other side.
I genuinely think if WWE ever decided to bring WrestleMania to London...
I'll make a call now. Hang on.
Going to phone his friend Paul.
I generally think we could possibly get over 100,000
each night
for WrestleMania. If they did it in Wembley Stadium, which I believe is 90,000.
90 for football, but then they'd obviously open up the floor.
I think we could easily fit.
Am I getting us tickets? I'm just checking out there.
No, I think we need to Paul Levesque. I hope we just get another pay-per-view, whether it be the Royal Rumble in January, or whether it be WrestleMania.
Clash at the Castle 3 next year in Cardiff.
I hope so.
We have a stadium here in Newport Parade. I'm sure the WWE would love to come to...
well, it's next to a castle.
Exactly.
Yeah. Come to Newport's finest. But yeah, I going back to the matches, maybe.
Moving back onto topic. We've said we've had a bit of a discussion about Awesome Truth winning the Raw Tag Team titles. The winners of the SmackDown Tag Team titles were A-Town Down Under.
Yes.
Austin Theory and Grayson
the
Waller.
Aussie icon himself, Grayson Waller.
I'm no fan.
Okay.
But...
Why? No fan of who, by the way?
Grayson Waller. I think he's too... Well, both of them, I think they're both too cocky, they're too arrogant.
Yeah.
And when, Austin Theory come in, he was spoon-fed by Vince McMahon.
And I can see why. I think Austin Theory is often being compared as the next John Cena. Obviously, he faced John Cena WrestleMania 39 for, at the time, his United States Championship.
For me,
he has a really high ceiling as Austin Theory. He's great in the ring, he's got a great look, he's great on the mic.
But I still don't feel he's got the charisma. One day, I think he will win me over. But
for me, he's a future WWE champion.
Future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think, going back to the era of, with Evolution.
Yes.
Where you had Triple H and Ric Flair.
Batista.
Mentoring Batista and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
I think if Theory had someone that could mentor... I've just thought of it.
Go on.
the best mentor for Theory would be none other than a Heartbreak Kid.
Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
Michaels.
What I reckon, Shawn Michaels coming in as his manager or something along them lines, just to coach him and be like, go a bit this way, go a bit that way. Then I think Austin Theory could, within a couple of years, be suitable for a champion. But until he gets that guidance, that mentorship, I don't think I'm going to be a fan of his anytime soon.
My thing with the A-Town Down Under, it's a good partnership, but I'm glad that they've got that attitude about them, like ever so slightly. Like I think
there's a cockiness, there's an arrogance about them.
The arrogance about them is like Theory alone is quite arrogant, and obviously he had the match with John Cena. I can't believe he won that. But I just think the arrogance of them both, it's as a pair they work good. But I just think if they had like someone like Shawn Michaels come in and just say, listen, this is what you need to do, pipe down the arrogance.
Well, I'm sure they've got that behind the scenes. Obviously, we don't know the conversations they have behind the scenes, but they've got Triple H mentoring them and things like that. And
I want to say, at some stage, I will eat my words and become Austin Theory and even a Grayson Waller fan.
Yeah.
But as it stands, they don't have the experience to run a tag title. The way I look at it.
Especially if you look at especially now with the tag title history, especially if you go back to the Usos of them being as a pair the longest reigning WWE tag team champions. I just feel like the Grayson Waller and Austin Theory need to do more, in a sense, of to be worthy of a tag title, and I don't think they can hold it as a tag title should.
I'm sure they will, though. You look, there's some great tag teams on SmackDown. There's some great tag teams on Raw. On night 2, you see Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. You see the AOP with Karrion Kross. You know, just them two alone. You see Legado del Fantasma. You see LWO. You see Gallows and Anderson on SmackDown with AJ Styles. I don't know what's going on there. I'm sure more will be explained now that his rivalry with LA Knight is over.
Hang on.
Oof.
Ooh.
Oof.
Is it over?
Ooh. We'll come on to that a little bit later.
All I'm gonna say, we will come on to it later, but I don't think it's over.
Okay. But yeah, there's so many good tag teams on SmackDown, and for the tag team titles to be split, because I don't think SmackDown was feeling the love of the tag team titles as much as Raw did. Obviously, Damian Priest as tag team champions, they were involved in the War Games storyline last year with Cody, Seth, and those lot. So for the back end of 2024, for me, it felt like the tag team titles took a back seat a little bit.
Yeah.
But now, hopefully, with two
new champions,
two tag teams, obviously Damian Priest will come on to a little bit later, and his part in Night 2, it feels like tag team wrestling in WWE is alive again, and kicking and back.
I feel like, I think it's going to be back. And like you said, there is so many great tag teams, and I feel like we could see soon a few call-ups possibly from NXT, especially with Triple H saying that there's going to be a roster change, a WWE draft
on the way.
The draft within the next month or so. So I feel like we could see Bron Breakker possibly.
Well, we know he was called up. I believe he signed a SmackDown contract in kayfabe. Yeah, obviously we know that kayfabe is dead in 2024, but on SmackDown he signed his SmackDown contract.
I feel like we're going to get...
He is still going after Stand and Deliver. He is still, sorry to interrupt you, he is still NXT Tag Team Champion with
Baron Corbin.
So could we see those two be called up to the main roster again?
I feel like they're going to have a good couple of weeks now. With they're going to have a couple of months, say 2 months or something, a month or two of having those tag titles, build them up, and them start being a bit more dominant and getting them winning over the crowd. And then I feel like when they've won themselves over the crowd, I feel like they will bring them up to SmackDown, possibly SmackDown, and then maybe they could have a feud with the new SmackDown champions.
How long would you give it? Because you don't want them to come up and immediately lose because Theory and Waller of them just won the tag team titles. How would you book it?
I don't know. I think they could lose it in the next couple of weeks.
I don't think...
And then it'd be a back and forth.
I don't think there's going to be... I don't think there's going to be a long tag title run just yet. Definitely not with... Especially with the Awesome Truth. I don't see them holding it that long. But especially with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, I don't think they will be holding it long. And could we see... It's a bit early, but could we see a future feud between them two?
I'm just going to chuck this out there. I think, even though Damian Priest, which we'll speak about later, I think who else out of Judgment Day could team with Finn to take on one of the...
JD McDonough.
JD.
They have history, but obviously both Irish. They have history from
could we see
the Indies. Finn Balor trained JD McDonough when he was in to become a professional wrestler.
I'm just chucking this in there like to stir the pot a little, but I think they could be a especially with Judgment trying to get more titles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I could quite possibly see that. That's a very good shout.
Yes. We just mentioned them moving on to match 3 of night 1. We've seen Rey Mysterio and Andrade team together against Santos Escobar of Legado del Fantasma and Dirty Dominic Mysterio of the Judgment Day, who we were just talking about. Originally, when they announced this match, Rey Mysterio announced it was going to be Dragon Lee teaming with him. We've seen on SmackDown, on the Go Home SmackDown to WrestleMania, Dragon Lee got taken out backstage. Probably by Carlito, so Carlito would get on the card.
You did say this on Saturday to me, and I was like, but because he's only just started coming back into it, Carlito, in my head, I can't see him turning heel. Especially
his babyface run hasn't really worked for me compared to what we've seen previously when he was with the company.
He is like previously, he had amazing rapport with Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And they had some, if my memory's right, some good matches. I couldn't see him turning on Rey.
Okay. Do you think that's why he attacked Dragon Lee then rather than Rey Mysterio?
Did he?
I think so.
I personally think the way that they set it with Carlito being there with Dragon Lee, well, like not, but
his acting.
Yeah, the way he was acting, I feel like Carlito was the one who attacked Dragon Lee.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say we'll get a feud between Carlito and Rey Mysterio just yet, but I do feel like there's definitely a good chance with Dragon Lee as well being involved.
All I want to say regarding that match, Dirty Dom got slapped by his dad, and
the second WrestleMania in a row.
And hopefully now that idiot have learned his lesson, treat your dad with some respect, and like become a decent wrestler.
His deadbeat dad, Rey Mysterio.
He's probably crying to mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
there was no better person to cry to in this world than Rhea Ripley.
There's a box of tissues. There you go. Go and cry in the corner, you little baby. So I'm not.
Careful what you say.
I'm no fan of Dominic Mysterio.
I don't like. If we go into the Judgment Day and the way the storyline's gone with Dominic Mysterio and stuff like that, I just can't get over the Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio thing.
It's gone on too long.
It's gone on too long. It should have.
They've kept them apart on being on different brands.
Yeah. All I wish, right, and I can guarantee I won't be the only one wishing this, if it was possible, God rest his soul, we could bring Eddie Guerrero back.
Yeah.
Because he would have banged
Dominic
heads.
Mysterio's biological father.
Well,
his real father.
You'll never know. You never. Who knows? But I think if Eddie Guerrero was here, the storyline between Ray and Dom would be phenomenal.
I think it was last year in the build-up to 39 where Ray refused to fight back against Dominic. Dominic would try and antagonise him into snapping, and the thing that made Ray snap was when Dominic got in the face of his murmuring Mysterio's wife and Ray's daughter, obviously Dominic's sister, and just the pop from the crowd when Ray finally turned on Dominic. I say turned, when he finally snapped and fought back against Dominic I think it was well booked.
I just hope they drop the storyline now.
Yeah,
I think they will. I think there's plenty in terms of on SmackDown, in terms of the Latino wrestlers, in terms of the luchadors, the Mexican wrestlers, LWO, Legado del Fantasma. They will.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, whether it's WrestleMania 41, whether it's WrestleMania 42, Dominic will be the one to retire his father.
Just checking it back out there a second. What was the belt and the title for that they had in the Attitude Era? That for the lighterweights and the...
Was it the
Cruiserweight title?
Yeah, the Cruiserweight title. Could we see that back? Could we see
the rebirth of that or...
There's already
similar?
too many titles.
I don't reckon there is.
We've got the United States title, the tag titles, singles titles. We've got the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the
Intercontinental and
the
USA.
Intercontinental US, and then obviously the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship.
So I don't reckon there's enough titles. They could bring in at least another one or two.
I feel like we definitely need, which is what I was saying to Adam on the way, I feel like we definitely could see another title.
If there was to be another title, I'd love it to be a women's mid-card title.
Yeah.
We've seen it Stand and Deliver over the weekend in NXT.
An Intercontinental title for the women.
Yeah, they announced a women's North American Championship. Yes, as you say, I think for a while we've been saying that we want this. There's too much talent in the women's division.
Yeah. And looking at... I know we're looking at matches, but just to go overall with WrestleMania weekend, that was the one thing that I was extremely disappointed, was the lack of women wrestling matches.
Yeah, it was
they could have easily have cut like the Bloodline down to 30 minutes and introduced given the women's another 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
There was 2 women's matches over the whole...
Yeah.
3.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 6 women's tag, which we'll come on to in a little bit, and obviously the 2 women's title matches.
There's plenty of incredible female talent.
There is.
That on the grandest stage of them all, they could have showcased.
Even a battle royal, I think we've seen it in years gone by. We see on SmackDown the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal for the men. Even if it's on the kickoff show,
they could do a Mae Young
Classic. Well, Triple H is in control.
A Mae Young Battle Royal, like the
maybe
Andre the Giant or Fabulous Moolah. Who knows? Or China,
yeah.
Oh, Triple H, China, yeah.
On the subject of China, there is every year there's a wrestling convention for the love of wrestling up in Manchester. There was someone who cosplayed as China this year and looked exactly like her.
Oh my!
A spit of her.
Could that have been her?
No.
It wouldn't have, but
No.
could have been.
She's dead, isn't she?
Yeah.
Is she?
Are you serious, Curtis? Are you serious?
I thought she was alive.
Oh my god! Or in the, what was his name from ECW? Joey, the ring announcer.
I don't know.
Oh my god! What?
What a great debut episode of this podcast.
We can cut that bit out.
Rude.
We talk about WrestleMania moments and viral moments, and
That's the Newport City Radio moment.
Yes.
Curtis didn't know China was,
no longer with us.
God rest his soul.
yes, ninth wonder of the world.
Yes. Was it Cruz del Toro who we've seen him do it in NXT, where he kind of jumps off the rope and goes for absolute miles into people? And he did it again on WrestleMania, and it just looks incredible whenever he does it. He gets so much leap and so much distance on his... I know he's got two others on the ring kind of boosting him, but still it's...
Yes.
That move was insane.
Yeah.
It was like, out of night one, that was the move of the night. That was the what, like, the WTF moment of it. And I'd love to see that again.
Yes.
Is like, wow. But 100%. Can we move on to the
Before we do, I was just going to
Okay.
say the winner of that match, obviously, as we might have alluded to, was Rey Mysterio and Andrade, with
rightly so.
two masked men coming to the ring.
Yes.
From the... Was it the
Philadelphia Eagles. One of them
I
is Taylor Swift's boyfriend's brother in Jason Kelsey,
right.
who is
I
a
s-
legendary player for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, then that makes sense because I seen it and I was like, "Who are you?" But if it's home to the Philadelphias, then it's the home crowd of Philadelphia. Which
Yeah,
was,
they popped big time when the masks came off, and it was Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, who Jason Kelsey retired from the NFL this off-season, and Lane Johnson still plays for the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, who I believe got to the divisional playoffs this year.
Yeah.
They did quite well, but
I just don't understand it. It's like if they were part of like the luchadors or Mexicans, etc. I think it would have fit with the storyline. But just random people coming in.
as a surprise, as a WrestleMania moment, I can understand it. We've seen it in years gone by. We've seen it last year with Bad Bunny when he was at commentary.
Yeah.
Then obviously that led to a match, but still it's his home. It's their home stadium. They're loved in. For example, if it was in London, you might see, I don't know, so if it was at the Tottenham Hotspur of course, if it was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, for example, we might see some Tottenham players come out. If it was at the Principality Stadium,
they'd
we
see
might
Adam
see
Smith come out.
Yeah. We might see some Welsh rugby players come out, for example.
Reece Webb, by all means. And I'm just leaving that one there.
Yeah, where do we think this goes from here? Do we think that...
I think we see the birth of the cruiserweight.
Okay.
I see possibly the cruiserweight, but I see...
Do you see faction warfare continuing potentially?
Yeah.
I feel like
do we see Carlito turn on LWO, go his own way?
I feel
Does he
like
join Legado del Fantasma?
I think we're going to see Carlito turn very soon.
I am not calling that one because
I think we could. Definitely.
I think we'll see Carlito turn, whether it's this Friday on SmackDown, whether it's 2 or 3 weeks' time, and they slowly built that story. Anyway, Adam, you wanted to talk about match 4 of WrestleMania Saturday, a match that these two have wanted for a long time. Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso in a one-on-one match at the grandest stage of them all.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to start on this one.
Rent for us.
this had been built up, brother be brother. We hyped it up for a year and a half, 2 years, with like through the bloodline and all this. And
it kind of started at SummerSlam when obviously Jay faced Roman in Tribal Combat for the title, and Jay was about to win, but then Jimmy pulled him.
But was it that sibling rivalry way before this as well? Especially like it's only 9 minutes between both of them in age. And this was their moment. And as much as I love that it's Paul Levesque's era, I feel WWE failed them. They gave them 11 minutes and 5 seconds match time. That match could have gone on for a good 20-25 minutes. Could have gone out into the crowd. Well,
it was a normal one-on-one singles match, so there wasn't a stipulation, so I don't know whether they could go out into the crowd.
I feel like they should have put a stipulation in so that they could have... not like something like... They
could have done that as a lad match, or even though there's a previous lad match, something else.
Something along the lines of where they can go out into the crowd, they can have such a longer match.
No disqualification.
Yeah, no disqualification... Is brother v brother thing.
But because of how much they built up and hyped up Jimmy versus Jay, and
Yeet versus no Yeet.
Yeah.
Yeet.
And I just feel they was let down. And nothing against either Jay or Jimmy. They done great with what they did.
The amount of time they had, they did really well.
The WWE let them down.
I feel for me, it was the weakest match on the card. It wouldn't look out of place on AEW TV. For me, sorry Chris, it just seemed every other move was a super kick.
But that's what they're known for, and high flying.
That's why I think they should have done a no disqualification, so they could have got tables out, they could have got ladders out, and they could have jumped off top ropes, possibly through stuff like that. For them to have 11 minutes with the amount of how long the bloodline story has been going on for, with Solo Sikoa coming up through it as well, him being heavily involved.
I thought he was going to get involved in some way, shape or form. We've seen Jimmy arrive on the kickoff show with Solo, so I thought that Solo would be involved in some way, shape or form. Another person who I thought would be involved is Rikishi.
Yes.
Now Rikishi is obviously their dad. For me, I thought he would have been special guest referee.
I thought
personally,
once they have done the match, he would come out and add his piece with them both. So they, again, when you've only got 11 minutes 5 seconds, it's not a lot that you know.
You've got to make the most out of it.
Especially with how Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso are. Like, they fly a lot. They do a hell of a load of super kicks.
I think they've both got similar movesets, which didn't help the quality of the match, because it seemed like they matched each other with everything that they did.
Yeah.
So I don't think they let themselves down.
It was mainly the booking.
I feel they could have improved on the booking. But I'm chucking this out there, because now the bloodline story may or may not be gone. We don't know.
We'll come on to that in night 2.
I feel that this could be escalating them for a rematch.
Yeah.
At Crown Jewel in Jeddah.
Okay.
Or is it Riyadh?
Riyadh.
Crown Jewel is normally November time. King and Queen of the Ring will come first in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. I just think because like if we look at Crown Jewel, they try and get some good big names. Are they going to be able to call on The Undertaker anymore? No. Are they going to be able to call back The Rock after his... No.
I think he's off to shoot his next film now.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jay and Jimmy is one of the headline matches at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, I think we could see potentially. There's
Yeah.
a lot still they could go in the storyline. Like
Yeah.
I say, bring Rikishi.
They've just signed one of their other brothers, haven't
Jake-
they?
Jacob Fatu, who for me, watching some of his work, seems to be potentially the best all-round wrestler in terms of that bloodline. I'm so excited to see what he can do in WWE. I think Booker
Could it be that reforming two tag teams?
maybe.
Where
I did see something on social media saying that The Rock will bring Jacob Fatu in as his own personal enforcer to combat Solo Sikoa. Because we've seen so often Roman Reigns has Solo to kind of... We've seen it last night in the match against Cody Rhodes where Solo got into the ring and hit Cody with a Samoan spike.
Yeah. So, do we think the Bloodline's storyline is dead?
No.
No, I feel like we've still got
I
hell of a load more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they would have ended it with the
We still
results.
haven't seen Roman Reigns against The Rock.
I feel like
Correct.
that could. I feel like that could be. The thing is though, especially with the way The Rock is now with all his films and stuff. Like, if he wasn't filming so much, we would have got it. We would have probably got it. Possibly either
But
SummerSlam or WrestleMania 41.
I'm just checking out that I have just mentioned it. Do you think to build the number one match for Riyadh, Crown Jewel, because that's where WWE will make a lot of money, do you think you could see The Rock v...
Potentially?
It who knows? It could be The Rock.
We
v.
have
Roman.
seen some big names in the past there. We've seen The Undertaker and Kane against Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a match that we won't talk about for obvious
We've
reasons.
seen Goldberg.
Yeah.
So we can't rule out the potential of what these other big PLE events. So yeah, I'm checking it there.
Moving on to match 5 of the night. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair and Naomi against Damage Control, consisting of Dakota Kai, Asuka and Kairi Sane. Now, we've seen Jade Cargill obviously in AEW and her learning and whatever, and her being TBS champion for so long. I think she was 51-0 before she lost to Chris Statlander. She went on a really long dominant winning streak, and she seems to be $1 million whatever she does, and I think there's a new star in WWE and her name is Jade Cargill.
I think, and I sorry to mention it, but it's like the Attitude Era 2.0. I think Jade is going to be the new China.
Okay.
And I reckon the storyline is going to end up being Jade who takes Rhea's title.
Okay, do you think obviously they're separated at the moment, could that be something that's addressed in the draft coming up?
Yeah.
In terms of or maybe even Jade wins the Royal Rumble next year and see it that way, and...
I think if they don't pull on the hype of Jade at the moment, because there was a lot of hype around her signing WWE, the fans are going to lose interest. Because I know I mentioned it about Jay and Jimmy. Their match on Saturday was 8 minutes and 5 seconds.
It was.
Which I reckon is disgusting, considering the names that they had in that.
Yeah.
They had former champions
They had
in that match, and to give them 8 minutes 5 seconds, and I think Jade was in the match for like less than 2 minutes of that.
yeah.
They hyped her up for less than 2 minutes. WWE creative let that match down more than what I'm with Jay and Jimmy.
Yeah.
So like I may not have answered what I may have just gone off on a tangent compared to what you asked in the first place, but I was disappointed. That was the disappointing match of the night.
Was that the disappointing match of the night for you, Curtis?
Yeah, I feel like how much they've hyped up Jade Cargill coming into the WWE, especially with her being at AEW and her running AEW, her coming into the WWE, we could obviously see she was going to dominate most of it.
Yeah.
She's going to dominate most of it. For her to only have 2 minutes in a match where they could have given her not all of the match or most of the match, but a little bit more than 2-3 minutes to build her up, and
just chucking out there, they built that up, and the return of Naomi.
Yeah, and obviously Naomi coming back at the Royal Rumble. I believe it was at the Royal Rumble.
It was indeed.
And with how strong Bianca is, and how many they had Jade Cargill, who looks like she's going to be.
She's $1 million. She's got money written all over her.
Unstoppable. She's going to be
the new China.
She's going. Yeah.
I swear to God, I will be so disappointed if I don't come out of this right. With like 6 months down the line, we'll review this and be like, Adam, you was wrong.
Wait until next year's WrestleMania. See how far wrong we're going to be there.
Yeah, I know.
With obviously going back on the Jade Cargill match, obviously consists of Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi. The return of Naomi popped.
Yes.
Obviously Bianca Belair with her storyline and how she.
Were you disappointed not to see Bianca in a one-on-one singles match?
I was.
Previous 2 years previous few years we've seen her against Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, the first WrestleMania main event involving 2 black women, which I thought was
incredible.
That was
and then
incredible.
It's like that was the first time 2 black women headlined.
Yes.
Today, Saturday, was the first time, if I'm right, a trio of 3 black women came out.
3 powerful black women.
Yes. But my only disappointment with that is they all come down together. They should have had their own separate entrance.
Yeah.
Especially for Jade Cargill. Like, with how she, obviously, like, going back to her career in AEW, she's come into this, you can just tell, like you said, she's got money written all over her. She's going to be
the new China.
I'm going to say she's going to be the next WWE Women's
Star
World Champion.
Yes.
I'm putting it out there. Whether it take a bit longer than we expect.
I think so, as she's learning. When she signed September, November last year, when she made her debut Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
She's been away, she's been training at the Performance Centre, she's been getting better in the ring, which I think she needs. She looked very, very green in AEW. To have that Performance Centre, to have experience, to have...
She's definitely... I wouldn't say she's got a lot to learn, but I
think...
She...
Where she needs to learn, I'm sorry to Coach Dadger, is I haven't seen her with a mic.
Yeah. I feel like...
she just needs
to... Have you seen any of her AEW promos?
No. If they're going to push her in WWE, they need to let her loose.
She can talk. She did have a manager in AEW. Firstly, it was Max Sterling. Then it was Stokely Hathaway, formerly Malcolm Bivens in NXT. So they have had a manager with her.
I feel like...
But she can talk.
I feel like we need to see, maybe not so much tonight, because most of tonight is
I don't think she'll be there tonight. She's a SmackDown
Oh, she's a SmackDown.
star.
Yeah, she's a SmackDown star. I feel like maybe Friday, could we see a promo from her?
AEW, just throwing this out there, in AEW, for most, if not all of her run, she was a heel. And that's where she was her dominant best, when she went 50-odd matches unbeaten. Yes, most of them were against jobbers, but still, to go 50-odd matches unbeaten is phenomenal. I think only Goldberg has done similar.
I've just written down something.
Go on.
And now I think is the right time to bring it in. Bring the question.
Okay. The question of this week's podcast. Go on.
Is over the weekend they got announced the rebirth of King and Queen of the Ring. We've just been talking. My prediction, and I'm putting it straight there, is King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Is going to be Jey Uso.
Okay.
I could see that, especially. I can see that.
I could. Yeah.
Wasn't there a story somewhere in Roman's career when he was just the Universal Champion with...
Yeah, Xavier Woods won the King of the Ring last time they held it.
And they had the crown and...
Roman beat down, or the Bloodline beat down...
And stole it?
Check it out there.
Could we... Yeah, Jey Uso. Yeah, that's a good shout.
Queen of the Ring is going to be Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Triple H.
Are you listening?
So, and it's only because like this, if they're gonna give them to a big push, which they rightly deserve now, after all the hype, that is going to be the stomping ground to push their careers to the next level. Look at previous King of the Rings. You've had Austin as winner, Bret Hart, Owen Hart,
Triple H
have won it. There's been so many incredible winners that have gone on to do great. And so I think yes, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. I've just told you who's going to win their competition.
Direct from Adam.
Head booker at WWE, of course, Adam Smith. Moving on from King and Queen of the Ring to the Ring General.
The match
of the
Saturday.
Ring. Gunther going into this as Intercontinental Champion, holding the belt for 666 days. Was the writing on the wall with that number? Who knows?
Oh, yeah, devil in the detail, innit?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He faced Sami Zayn, and going into this, the story they were telling before we get I'm sure we can understand where your views are here on this, Adam.
We need to get just his face cam in front of Adam just so we can get it on the social media.
Please don't.
Going into this, the story they were telling, obviously Philadelphia is known for Rocky, the underdog, and Chad Gable, who for me should have won the Intercontinental Champion. I think the story was there going back to his match on Raw against Gunther. But they were telling the story that Chad Gable was training Sami Zayn to beat Gunther, and it happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Unreal.
It was the only match on Saturday that I actually got out of my chair, jump in, and yes.
The way they built that match was really good. Also, the ending with the hula kick. The crowd was so into that.
Was it 3 of them?
It was
definitely 2.
It was definitely.
Yeah, it was a couple of them.
I think he did one, and then I think Gunther tried to do something, and then he eventually went for 2 and got the second one. He got the 3 count.
I am so bloody pleased. And but I think Sami is going to have a 3-4 month reign now.
Yeah, it won't be a long reign for me.
And then I think they're going to push Jey.
Yeah,
I keep going back to Jey because
I think the way Jay's on at the minute with the crowd and stuff. If you look at his entrance at WrestleMania, his entrance on SmackDown, they cannot not let him win. Obviously, I would like to say Jay's in somewhat soon. Well, maybe in the next few years he would be a world title contender, but
he needs that.
He needs to win more singles titles. Because at the minute he's only mostly got tag titles to his name. I feel like he needs to win the Intercontinental title within with this year, within the next few months.
And could you imagine the crowd? 2 babyface. It's going to be like it was with The Rock and Cena headlining WrestleMania a few years ago.
Once in a lifetime.
Well, no. It's like, who are the crowd? Rocky, Cena, go Rocky, go. And that is how the crowd is going to be with that match.
I feel like we need to have Sami Zayn versus Jey Uso for the Intercontinental title.
Going back to Sami Zayn's time in the Bloodline, one of his closest allies in the Bloodline was Jey Uso.
And I just reckon, that would be like, for me, that's a dream match.
Yeah.
I'm checking that out. That's a dream match. I would be happy to pay megabucks to go and see that live.
That would be one very good match.
We're creating dream matches here as well.
This is our first one, and
if there's any wrestling promoters listening to this and want three people to
creative,
book your shows,
Exposure Wrestling maybe.
Maybe. Who knows? Any local indie promoters that want us to contact at Newport City Radio .org.
Yeah, we would happily give our time to build your wrestling.
Yes. Is Sami Zayn the right person to dethrone Gunther? I know I just said about Chad Gable for me being the one. Do you agree with that? Who do you think should have dethroned?
Is because of the history, and look at Daniel Bryan when he won, and the huge yes movement. We love an underdog, we absolutely do, and there's been so many the longest ever title reigns and all this now. It was needed, fresh start. And it was for me, it would either be Sami or Jey, but where Jey had that feud against Jimmy was needed, it couldn't be no one else. I don't think Chad Gable, even though he would be good, I don't think he has the crowd behind him. It's like, look at when they went through by the curtain, you've seen Sami with Kevin Owens.
Yes, that was a nice touch.
That's their special moment.
Yeah,
I don't think you could have seen that with anyone else.
No.
What do you think's next for Gunther? Do you think the Sami Zayn Gunther storyline is over?
I think so. Because Gunther for me is world title level.
He definitely is.
Now there's a small pay-per-view coming up called Bash in Berlin.
Yes.
Could we see? Obviously, Gunther will be on that card.
Oh, definitely.
Even though he's Austrian, he has ties with Germany.
I can see him going for a title match. I just don't see him winning. Not at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think he could win a title. He definitely could, but I just don't think with the storylines that they're building, especially with the results of Night 2, I just don't think it's anything that's going to happen.
And the fact he's only now just lost this title.
Yeah.
I personally feel that Gunther is going to go on a hiatus.
I was going to say, I think we could see him take
a couple of months off.
Yeah.
Especially with how dominant he was been with the Intercontinental title. He
deserves it. Yeah, he deserves at least a few weeks off.
He deserves definitely a month off.
And then
possibly more.
What happens after WrestleMania? Granted, the first Raw and the first SmackDown after WrestleMania, everyone's there, and then they all disappear for a month or two, and let the lower cards
have their moment and come through and
it's
try and.
I said to Curtis, I personally feel regarding Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, that
could take
I don't think we're going to see him for a couple of weeks. It could be actually 2-3 months. I think they're going to go spend time. Seth needs to recover his body.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell from the match he had on night 1, which we'll discuss in a bit, going into night 2 with his match with Drew, you could tell he was, especially over the past couple of weeks, obviously, injuries to his back, his knee.
It's like he got the title and he defended that with honour. And I don't want. We'll go on to the results of that later, of his match with Drew. But that was a cry moment for me. Is like, you've done bloody amazing defending that title, being there week in, week out. Go and have your break.
Yeah.
Go and have your time. And the same with Becky Lynch. And them two being married.
They have a daughter as well.
Yeah. Go spend family time. And I think now that with Paul Levesque, he understands family time. He gets it. And I think we're going to see that a little bit with, not everyone, but with some of them who have given like 110% over the past 12, 18 months.
Yeah.
We're not going to see him as much for the next 2-3 months.
Especially with people like Gunther, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins. They're all going to take a break. Maybe not
together, all at the same time.
All at the same time. They're not going to take like a really, really long break, such as like what Roman Reigns does.
Well, once a month, once a year match.
Yeah, they're not going to do that, but I feel like we won't see him as much now, especially with the results that we had on night 2.
Yes, and the main event of night 1, which set up the main event of night 2, we have the Bloodline consisting of Roman Reigns and The Rock in his first proper match in 12 years. He did have a match a couple of years ago at WrestleMania 32, I believe it was, but it was the 6-second squash of Eric Rowan against the team consisting of Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, who we've just spoken about there. The Rock, we've seen him kind of lean into Hollywood Rock from the mid-2000s in this reign, or in this run. That entrance was just phenomenal, where you see the Brahma Bull light up in flames. And
yeah. That I will give credit. I reckon the entrances were amazing.
Yeah.
But that's it.
The entrances was really, really cool. The Rock's entrance was good. Yeah, it was. The Rock's entrance was. It was one of the best entrances that night, with the Brahma Bull in the middle of the stage, lit up in flames. Him obviously holding the
People's Championship, which was given to him by Muhammad Ali's wife the night before the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah, so
is, for me, giving them 44 minutes and 35 seconds.
Entrances was 16 minutes, so they had an hour.
Utterly, egos took over.
Especially with The Rock's power on the TKO board.
I get his character going into the match. I'm the boss, as he said with the referee. You count, and you count,
or you're fired.
Yeah, you count 10, you're fired.
Yeah.
And I get that side of things, is in character and whatnot. But The Rock have headlined WrestleMania previously.
Yes.
Roman Reigns have headlined WrestleMania.
Yes.
Cody Rhodes have headlined WrestleMania.
Yes.
Seth friggin' Rollins have headlined.
He hasn't. Not.
Hasn't he? I thought he did.
It was his first time headlining, but I think where you'll get confused is the heist of the century. 9 years ago, it'll be 10 years next year, where he ran down in the main event of WrestleMania 31 to cash in his Money in the Bank. That wasn't technically his match. Because obviously he was in it for like 20 seconds or whatever.
It's like, my bugbear around all that, they've all had their time. They've all had huge paychecks from WrestleMania. Is surely that match should have been 30 minutes and they could have given 14 minutes and 35 seconds to a couple of others to help push them up.
Yeah.
Because it felt like they were just dancing for a good 10 minutes in that ring. And
they were just stood there staring at each other for a large part of that 10 minutes.
Is that, to me, was a total disappointment. And it's why publicly, it is on Twitter or whatever, X now, I tweeted Triple H and I was like, night one was full around, made around egos.
Okay.
And it's why I get that they wanted to do it to build up for night two with...
Yeah, I think Triple H said in the press conference last night that night one was done to set up night two.
But could they have done it with less time and give them? We talk about Jade Cargill's match, 8 minutes and 5 seconds. What could that tag team of 6-woman tag match have done with an extra 15 minutes or 10 minutes? What could have Jay and Jimmy's match done with an extra 5 minutes?
We could have definitely
1,000 more super kicks.
Maybe a few more frog splashes.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have definitely given Jade Cargill more time. Maybe like 5 more minutes just to showcase her more. But obviously the Bloodline match, there was a stipulation in if the Bloodline won, it would be Bloodline rules for the main event,
which we knew that was
on night two. They made it was very obvious that they were going to make it Bloodline rules.
Yeah.
With obviously people all over Twitter and stuff, or X, sorry, saying who could return, what and stuff like that. If obviously Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins won, it would have been
a fair one-on-one match.
It would have been.
I don't think it would have been fair anyway.
Obviously, if Rhodes and Rollins won, it would have been Bloodline would have been banned from ringside. And
could that be potentially where Jacob Fatu would have debuted? Potentially.
Possibly.
We're talking about ifs, buts, and maybes, but an absolute is that night two was Bloodline rules. 44 minutes and 35 seconds after the first bell, The Rock pinned Cody Rhodes. Now, for me, I thought if anyone was going to take the pin, it would be Seth Rollins. Protect Cody for night two.
Yeah.
Seth would take the pin. It was going to be Bloodline rules for night two, but Cody got pinned.
Yeah, and I think it's because they wanted to push the psychological aspect.
Yeah.
And people think if he's been pinned, how is he going to feel? He's going to feel demoted going into night two. And so that's why I think, and with The Rock doing the pin, it's like, I'm the final boss, you'll do as I say.
He has that aura about him, and I know that was a word branded around social media, not just this weekend, but since he's come back, aura. There was such, in that main event, there was such a, not just The Rock, Roman Reigns, just the four of them in that match.
Aura or egos?
Aura.
I think if they had given it less time, I would have bought into it more. But again, these podcasts, these recordings that we're doing, they are all around what we think.
Exactly.
There's no affiliation to anyone or any organisation, professional, business. That's my thoughts.
Final thoughts on the tag team match? Billed as the biggest tag team match in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, on that.
I wasn't expecting so much from that match. Moves wise, I was expecting them to protect Cody and Seth a bit more with their title matches. But it was an alright match, but they did stand around for about 10 minutes, which was very boring.
With Mama Rhodes ringside.
Yes.
And The Rock said that, gave a message to Mama Rhodes on Monday Night Raw saying, I'm going to put your son's blood on this belt, a weight belt with Mama Rhodes written on it, and he's going to give it to her ringside at WrestleMania in front of her son. Which he kind of did.
Yes,
he kind of did. But, yeah, night one, thoughts?
I think night one was okay.
Yes.
I've been critical of night one.
And so you should. For me, it was the weaker night.
Yeah.
There was...
But I think it's laid the foundations.
Yes, for night two.
Not just for night two, but I think it's laid the foundations for a good few events coming up. As we mentioned, like the King and Queen of the Ring, Crown Jewels in Riyadh, and who else? Who knows? Is like
Clash at the Castle, Bash at Berlin.
Yeah, it's like
the Saudi pay-per-view now.
Yeah,
King and
which
Queen
is
of the
where
Ring.
that was announced.
Yeah.
So, I think though it wasn't built up to be the greatest of all time.
It did its job.
It's done what it's meant to do, and that's to build up storylines or future storylines to
Night
create
two.
bigger PLE events, and for night two.
Yeah.